Welcome to the Queensland Storyteller. I'm Kim Dodsworth. Today's story, Fidget's Farewell, is confronting and hard-hitting. It's about rough justice on the waterfront. The story won the author, Scott McDermott, the prestigious S.D. Harvey Short Story Award in 2009. It's from New Australian Stories 2, published by Scribe in 2010. The pub is hot with bodies and brings the stink out of him anew. Smudges of grime cover the glass that all but disappears inside his big oily palm. The talk around Bartlett is loud and insistent, but his mind is captive to a Zen riddle, and none of it registers. He doesn't know shit about Zen or Buddha or any of those slanty-eyed religions, but he knows what a Zen riddle is. One hand clapping and all that shit. Across the room, the Fidget shouts around. The pay packet from which he draws a 20 bears a name that isn't his. Its rightful owner doesn't exist except as a name on a roster. The Fidget is one of the ghosts, men you won't see between paydays. It's an open secret. Better for the company to part with the extra wages and have the work done than not have it done at all. So the ghosts get paid like those that work. They take their cut and kick the rest along to the union office on Lorimer Street. If the Fidget has a real name, nobody seems to know it. He's just the Fidget, a small, twitchy boy that grew into a small, twitchy man. The pub is a payday obligation. Sweating jugs are pushed at you to refresh your glass quicker than you can empty it. The dockers have the run of the pub. Any other bloke that wanders in by mistake doesn't stay long. Whelan's kid is selling the skirt behind the bar on the idea that if you look close at the sleeve of Exile on Main Street, you can see him in one of the photos. She asks whether he's the one with golf balls in his mouth. He says he thinks they might be eggs, but anyway, that's not him. The kid is all lank hair and attitude and doesn't know when to shut up. Anywhere else he'd get his head punched in. He's Whelan's kid though, so that's not going to happen. Whelan is the union welfare officer and takes up the collections for the old blokes and the sick. Union or not, touch his kid and he'll send you to the emergency room. If you're union, the difference is it'll be Whelan that organises flowers for your wife. Bartlett's father was also a docker, crawling over and into the great steel hulls berthed at Webb Dock, as Bartlett does now. He attaches an importance to this that his wife, understanding though she is, cannot appreciate. She's distrustful, and more than a little scared of the men that work the docks. She knows better than to call them crims, and couches her reservations in softer terms. They're a rough bunch, she says. The docks attract men with histories. His father spent time inside, and on his release only the docks would have him. The chance to work, however, comes loaded with the sorts of opportunities that men who've done prison time tend to attract. Sticking to the straight and narrow is no easy thing. The Fidget is trying to empty his beer to leave. When a bloke fills your glass, you don't leave it half drunk. This is understood. His eyes dart around the room, and his weedy frame spills nervous energy. Bartlett catches a whiff of himself. Even in a room abundant with the pong of men at the end of their shift, he stinks bad. Cleaning a fuel oil tank leaves you covered in muck from arsehole to breakfast time. And though he's scrubbed his skin to redness, the grime is deep in his pores. He knows from experience he'll sweat it into his bed sheets and catch hell from his wife. He doesn't mind working though. There's satisfaction in the stiffness he stretches from his back and arms in the early mornings when he rises. Better to work and be clear of any obligation to the men that control the rosters, the union men that can tap you on the shoulder and offer you a place around the pay truck while working days become your own. He knows better than to look upon ghosting as a free ride. It's a due paid on your loyalty and on any occasional service this might require. The Fidget has put himself in the service of the current union administration and has proved himself as a trigger man more than once. Maybe the lack of threat in his size and skittish demeanour means they don't see it coming. Maybe he's just been lucky. Whatever the case, he has form. A fortnight ago, when a page 3 story ran under the headline, "Shotgun Pair Found in Scrub," the chatter around the docks pegged the Fidget as the shooter. Outside, the after-work traffic has thinned. The last of the day's tide of family men and women drawing back to the suburbs. Drink has taken hold of Whelan's kid, and he leans across the bar, attempting a grope at the barmaid. She pours him another at no charge and tells him to enjoy it because he'll be leaving afterwards. She's dealt with worse than him before. The shotgun pair found dead were Jimmy the Louse and his de facto Teresa Mitchell. The Louse's death wasn't unexpected. He was a talker that would pin you down at the pub and fill your ears without let-up, pumping you full of chatter, turning you to liquid nonsense inside your own skin. He wanted to be liked, and with him it was pathological. What he knew and who he might tell put the wrong people on edge. Nobody was surprised that he met his end with a hole in him, but he should have died alone. The Fidget downs the remainder of his pot in a gulp and belches the gas into a closed mouth, hissing it through his nostrils. He inclines his head towards the door, signalling his intent. He nods a few goodbyes and is gone. Those he has left behind shake their heads and wheel their conversation in the direction of his shadow. The Louse was fair game, but the Mitchell girl should have been left out of it. This too is understood. You could mete out what violence a man was due, but the price he paid was his alone. The Fidget knew that. Maybe she wasn't supposed to be there when he blasted a hole in the Louse. Maybe she got a good look at him, good enough to ID him. But he knew the rules, and he did something stupid anyway, and all the excuses in the world wouldn't help him now. Bartlett goes out the door and is grateful for the cooler air. He breathes it deeply. He knew the girl. Not well, not as a woman. Her old man and his worked the docks together. They were mates. When Bartlett was 10 and a heart attack claimed his father, it was Mitchell that mowed their lawn, split their firewood, and gifted them fresh killed rabbits for stewing. For some time now, though, Mitchell has been an entry in Whelan's log of old and infirm dockers, the bedridden and the ill. The union looks after its old men regardless of what factional allegiances they might have held. All are equal when the years catch up, and the union shares among them such money as can be raised from their membership for the purpose. Old man Mitchell can't even stand to piss any more. He mourns from his bed and apologizes for his tears. Someone from the Louse's camp would sort the Fidget or make the attempt. From that Bartlett takes no comfort. He needs the old man to know that the price the Fidget pays is for his daughter, that she's not simply incidental to a score settled for another. Dusk has settled into place over flaking paint and overgrown gardens. Battered cars wait for rust to have its way. A cool breeze raises small bumps on his arms. The place he catches the Fidget is not private, but nor is it the type of neighbourhood inclined to share its secrets. At the hand on his shoulder the Fidget turns, but there's little he can do to stop the blade that plunges into his gut. He looks down to where a fist is held against him, the knife buried to the hilt. Blood blossoms into the fabric of his shirt. Bartlett leans into him and speaks quietly into his ear. "This is for the girl," he says. The Fidget looks up into the face of his assailant, and this time the blade is drawn across his throat. It takes him a moment to fall, as if his own death is something beyond comprehension. Bartlett squats over the body and wipes the blood from his knife. He checks the Fidget's pockets for a wallet or something that might identify him. There's only the pay packet and a union card that belongs to a man that never was. Again the riddle starts to loop inside his skull. If you kill a man that doesn't exist, is it really murder? One hand clapping and all that shit. And that was Fidget's Farewell by Scott McDermott. I'm Kim Dodsworth. I'll be back again this time next week with another short story of quality.